Hello everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate filings. Today we're diving into the proxy statement for Lifeward, a company that focuses on medical technology. Get ready. This report has more twists and turns than a poorly designed medical device. You may walk out with a headache. This shareholders filing has a lot going on, from executive pay to upping the number of shares. Stay tuned, we'll make sense of this maze and see what it means for investors. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, give us a follow. Also, join our Discord community linked in the description below. This is Lifeward Ltd's proxy statement, which means it's a document they send to shareholders before their annual meeting. This meeting is scheduled for August 1, 2025. They intend to hold the meeting in person, but because things happen, they might switch to a remote meeting. At this meeting, shareholders get to vote on important stuff. That includes re-electing directors, approving executive pay, and making changes to the company's rules, which they call Articles of Association. The company's board is recommending that shareholders vote for proposals 1-8 on the agenda for the meeting, because in their opinion, it is a good thing for shareholders. There is a whole section dedicated to answering common questions to the meeting that are worth reading, like the different ways to vote, and what happens if you don't vote. One specific thing relating to voting is called broker non-vote, and it happens when you own shares through a broker but don't tell them how to vote on certain proposals. Here is the security ownership of certain beneficial owners and management. As of June 11, 2025, there were 11,462 CA ordinary shares outstanding. Now, to the numbers everyone is waiting for. Let's make it quick. From the filing, Larry Jasinski, co-CEO, owns 67 shares. Janine Lynch, vice president, owns 2025. There were 11. A director owns 21,500 and owns 21 is 14 shares. Equivalent to 2,079 shares. All directors and executive officers as a group own 33 shares, equivalent to 2.79 shares. All directors and executive officers as a group own 31. Vice president owns 2014 shares, equivalent to 2.79 shares. All directors and executive officers as a group own 31,314 shares, equivalent to 2,079 shares. All directors and executive officers as a group own 314 shares, equivalent to Here is the director compensation table. Jeff Dyken earned 25,455. Dr. John William Parduska earned 44,426. Randall Richner earned 332. Joseph Turk earned 39,417. Hadar Levy earned 34,447. Michael Swinford, E2 through Fortune 447. Michael Swinford earned 75,598. Robert Marshall earned 8,175,447. Michael Swinford, $2, and for Olays and $174. Scroll, Larry Jasinski, Kamal, a Chief Executive Officer and Directors. So next section is about the Executive Officer. Larry Jasinski is the Co-Chief Executive Officer and a Director. Mark Grant is the President and Co-Chief Executive Officer and another Director. Michael Lawless is the Chief Financial Officer. Janine Lynch is the Vice President of Finance, Access and Strategy. And Almog Adar is the Vice President of Finance and Chief Accounting Officer. Janine Lynch is the Vice President of Finance and Chief Accounting Officer. Here we have their 2024 summary compensation table. This is the good stuff. True did Larry Jasinski, Co-Chief Executive Officer and Director. Had a salary of $442,312, tier $2 and $312. Stock awards of due 9 Lynch the 2-2, bringing his total to $474,075. Edge 9 Lynch incentive plan compensation, bringing their total down to their salary earnings of $375,000. Edugene Lynch, the Vice President, didn't have stock awards and non-equity incentive plan compensation of $30,009 equity incentive plan compensation, bringing their total down to her salary earnings of $374,000. Didn't have stock awards and non-equity incentive plan compensation, bringing her total down to her salary earnings of $375,000. Edugene Lynch, the Vice President, didn't have stock awards and non-equity incentive plan compensation, bringing her total down to her salary earnings of $359,000. Digging deeper, there is a clawback policy. What does this entail? In short, they are required to recover incentive-based compensation that was received in the 3 years prior the date they are required to restate their financial statements that is in excess of the amount that would have been received based on the restated financial statements. Here it mentions on May 19, they announced that Mark Grant was appointed as the new president and co-chief executive officer. To allow for the transition, that meant starting June 2, Thierry Jasinski, former chief executive officer, would assist Grant as co-chief executive officer until June 30. From July 1, Grant would be the sole chief executive officer until June 30. To make Grant's appointment official, shareholders also need to ratify Mark Grant's compensation package. His annual salary is set at $435,000 with a potential bonus of up to 70%. He also gets an option to purchase 400,000 ordinary shares. There is a change of control provision as well. Next is about the annual fees to be paid to their chairperson of the board. Someone on the board gets paid a lot and does most of the work. You'd be right, Sion, their compensation committee advisor, recommended that the chairperson get double the annual fee and equity grant. Another vote coming forth is for the approval of 2025 incentive compensation plan, which would mean that no awards can be granted without this approval. It essentially allows 1,500,000 ordinary shares to be issued for officers and directors. To deal with the risk, Lifeward has an insider trading policy as well as a policy for the recoupment of incentive compensation, something that has become pretty standard. Here is an interesting related transaction. It appears sometime around March we see that they announced an agreement to be on lot and armed with Core Life to distribute the Rewalk personal exoskeleton. What's interesting? Michael Swinford, a member of the board, serves as the Chief Executive Officer of Numotion, the parent company of Core Life. Alright, last but not least, it seems that there are no delinquent Section 16A reports. Now, what is my take on Lifeward? Lifeward has a lot of moving parts right now. A change in leadership roles and compensation structure suggests they're trying to shake things up, but that doesn't automatically translate to profits or market advantage. The increased authorized share capital could be a sign of future growth plans or a necessary move to stay afloat. The equity compensation is supposed to be helpful, so definitely keep an eye on how the new changes lead to their performance numbers. While they have a good shot on making gains from distribution, keep an eye out by researching Core Life and understanding its reach. What do you think of all of it? Let us know in the comments. Alright, that's our breakdown of Lifeward's latest proxy statement. What's your take on these changes and what they signal for the company's future? Let us know in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Most of all, please join our Discord where we and many people gather to talk about company performances. Thanks for watching and see you next time.